how to sell ads to your clients. If you're a consultant, if you own like a website agency, an automation agency, anything where your ads isn't your main business. Ads is my main business. I manage over $12 million in ad spend. And I notice a lot of agencies, great thing about ads is it's recurring revenue. It's recurring service, right? Sure, you can have hosting fees for your website. Maybe your automation, you have some maintenance fees or something, or as a consultant, you're billing hourly each week. But you really like that recurring high margin revenue. Well, I'm here to help you how to do that. So if that fits you, this isn't necessarily for beginners. This is like warm sales. Like you have the client relationship. They're asking for ads. What do you do? What are you going to experience? What are some of the things you say? Or maybe you want to bring it up, right? Let's say you want to bring it up because you want the recurring service. So what's the point of ads? What does it really do beyond, all this other stuff? Well, I would say leads, / sales is the main thing. I remember when I was building websites, selling websites to clients, we would build these websites and, take 3 months, whatever. This was back, 10 years ago. So it's a little bit easier to build websites today. Back then, the latest and greatest technology was just straight up vanilla WordPress. And so, you could buy templates, but it was a lot of manual labor. It wasn't, there was no Squarespace, there was no Wix. So when I say, it took a couple months, like it just generally took a couple months. You got to meet these people. I don't like building websites anymore because you got to get approval for copy and the brand colors and all this stuff, right? So you go through this whole process and then you sell them or you launch the website. Awesome. And they go, great, on the wrong side, right? And then what happens? 3 weeks later, they go, we don't have any more sales. We haven't had an increase in sales. We don't see any more leads. What's going on with our site? And you say, well, we just built the website. Maybe we did some SEO stuff here and there, some technical SEO, but like you got to go out now, you got to go do marketing. Ads are that marketing. And that's sort of why I switched, because people wanted leads. Really, people wanted leads. They don't want websites, right? And so I said, okay, let's run ads. And so that's how I got into the ads game. And so this is when that conversation comes up, right? You've already made the sale. You already charged them a lot of money. And so you have a very warm relationship. They don't want to feel the sunk cost, they're sort of in the sunk cost fallacy. You want to have something to sell them ads. How much would you price it? So a few initial things. You can price it per spend, like a percentage of spend. Not my favorite, but it can work if you have clients with big pockets. If they're going to spend, this really works for clients spending $10,000 plus a month. So if they're going to spend $10K plus a month, then you can charge them like 5 to 10% of spend. So $500 to $1,000 a month to manage that spend. Flat fee. Usually what most people do these days, well, usually people, there's a hybrid. So flat fee. So you can just say, hey, it's $500. It's, $1,000. I think that's about in the range these days. Really low would be $200. There are some people, I do charge $200 to like an agency per client. So that's a little bit different, but that's like wholesale pricing, right? For end user pricing, probably want to be at $400, $500 all the way up to like $3,000 per month. The problem here is you got to care about how much they're spending. If they're only going to spend $1,000 a month, it's hard to charge them an extra $1,000 to manage their spend. So it sort of still depends on how much they're spending. Then there's like tiered pricing, right? I don't know how to spell tiered pricing. So like if you can spend up to $10,000 and it's $1,000, and then up to $20,000 it'll be $1,200, and then et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And then there's performance, which as a website company maybe this works better for you because you can kind of control the full funnel. If you have access into their data and you can see their sales numbers, right? You can ping how much you charge based on like their performance. The issue here is if they have a sales team, if there's aspects that you really don't touch, it's hard to charge based on performance because you're not in control of that performance. And so I don't necessarily love doing performance. I would love to do performance, don't get me wrong, but it's just hard to get the data, hard to influence things that you're not in control of. So if you want to do this, you pick like basically boundaries between here and here. We'll handle this. This is what you're going to get. Outside of that, it's not our biz. So I typically do flat fee. I have done some performance in the past. Percentage of spend, I personally don't love. It just feels weird to me. I think it creates a weird incentive to like spend more money. I don't necessarily want to be bound to that recommendation. Also, a lot of clients are not going to spend more money. Like if you're in the high ticket info space, maybe, people are trying to scale aggressively and spend more money. 99% of anyone I've seen ever running ads, they budget for their ads for the year and we're going to spend $10,000 a month. And then that's what they spend. And then next year, maybe they increase it a little bit. Even if they have great performance, you get them so many leads, so many sales. What I often see is they actually reduce ad spend. They say hit our numbers so we can reduce our spend this year. So percentage of spend is like, this is a fantasy. This is just a fantasy of the info space, unfortunately. That's not how real businesses operate. Unfortunately, they should spend more money, but usually they're going to spend the same amount of money or they're going to spend less money. Check me out in school. Check out my site, lukefun.com. Check out my school where I offer audits to ad accounts. So if you get a client account, you can hop in there and check us out. $200 a month and hop on live with me and I'll look at your account. Peace.